Today is Tuesday, August the 7th, 2007. We're recording for the Friends of Marshall Public Library Oral History Project. I'm interviewing Mary Farris of Marshall, Illinois, in conjunction with a project called Coming Home to the Heartland, James Jones, World War II Veterans, and the Midwest. This is sponsored by the Coles County Arts Council and Eastern Illinois University College of Arts and Humanities. And we are glad to have Mary here today, and we hope our recorder is working. So I'll start with you, Mary, by asking a little bit about yourself. When and where you were born, a little bit about your family.
I was born the 9th of October, 1918, in our country home in Denison, Illinois, to Ruth Setzer Farris and Harry B. Farris. I went to school, started school when I was 4 years old at Denison. Then we moved to my grandfather's house, and I went to Pleasant Grove School for a couple of years, and then we went to Pleasant Hill School, where I graduated in 32. Came to Marshall to high school, graduated in 36. From there, I went to business school in Terre Haute. And from there, I came to Marshall to work at the Farm Bureau office with R.L. Ash. And while I was there, I got a call from Geo Fraser and asked if I'd like a new job. I should go to Springfield and take a test, and then I came back to Marshall and worked in what was then the Old Age Assistance Office. I guess you'd call it, what do you call it today?
Like the welfare, county welfare?
It was welfare, but those days the people who had to come to us were so embarrassed. Today I think welfare is handled a little bit differently, or accepted differently anyway. Then I went to Washington, D.C., where I worked for the Department of the Army for 16 months. Then I joined the WACs, went to England in 44 and France in 44, stayed there to 45. Was discharged on the 11th of November, 1945, after spending 25 months, 13 days, and 5 hours in service.
Oh, my goodness. Can you explain what the WACs are for those who don't know?
Well, it started out as the Women's Auxiliary Army Corps in 42, I believe it was. In 43, they dropped the auxiliary, so I joined when it was the Women's Army Corps. And then later they dropped the Women's Army Corps, and you're just a part of the Army.
Any idea when that finally happened?
That was probably in the late 60s. I'm not quite sure when that was.
Yeah. So when you speak of being a veteran, do you speak of being a veteran of the Army or of the WACs, or both?
I'm just an Army veteran.
Okay. That makes sense.
And now I belong to the Army, American Legion, the Veterans of Foreign Wars, and recently I was surprised when I got a call from Richard Williams that I had been voted into the 40 and 8 club, which I thought was all men, and it was until last October when women were accepted, and I knew nothing about it. So I understand there are just a couple of us here in this area who belong. I'm sure there are others who are eligible, but I don't know who they are.
So just a couple of women
Yes.
who belong. Were you the first one in this area to join them?
As I understand it, we were the first.
Yeah.
However, I was in Terre Haute one day recently when I saw a lady who was about my age, I think, wearing a 40 and 8 T-shirt, which shocked me. I didn't know there were any others around.
What does 40 and 8 stand for?
That's World War I. The 40 and 8 was a railroad car that would hold 40 horses, 40 men or 8 horses. And I guess they used them for transportation around France. And many of the phrases used in this organization are French. Some of the words I can't pronounce. And if you don't say chapeau when you're talking about a hat, you get fined. And if you say I instead of we when we're voting, you get fined. And believe me, it's hard to remember.
Do they meet here in Marshall?
They meet around different places, Paris, Marshall, Greenup, and other places around there at night, and I don't go to those. I go to the one in Paris because Richard Beabout lets me ride with him. I don't like to drive at night too much.
I don't blame you one bit. What qualifications did you have to join the 40 and 8? Was it different from either
You
the
have
Legion?
to belong to the Legion.
Okay.
Otherwise, the VFW doesn't. It's an American Legion or
Okay, part of that organization.
And their main feature right now is helping people who want to join the Nurse Corps. They provide scholarships for that.
Oh, that's great.
Which is a great charity, yes.
Okay, well, we're going to try to focus a little bit on hometown feelings, and what I would like to know is when you joined the service, did you feel any special connection to home, or did anything special happen before you left for the service?
Well, since I was in Washington, D.C. for so long before I joined the service, no, I didn't, however. The PR people, of course, keep your hometown informed of where you are and what you're doing, so there were articles in the paper of my activities, which were all very flattering.
How did you leave your job there in Washington and join the service?
Well, I just decided one day I wanted to join. I worked with quite a few older officers. Well, many of the officers when I first went there were of reserves or something else called up, you know. Many of them had been West Point graduates. The first officer I worked for, when I met him, he was a tall, slender man. And there was one other girl assigned to the same office. We were both from small towns. And he said, "Does one of you take dictation?" And I felt like his voice came from his toenails. Scared me to death. And I said yes. So I was his secretary then. And can't even remember her name now. She was very quiet and shy, a little more than I was, I guess. So she got another assignment working with figures, which I didn't like.
So you did okay there.
Evidently. Then when I joined the service, these men were very upset that I didn't let them help me get a commission, which I wouldn't have wanted anyway. After I'd been in it a while, I knew I wouldn't have wanted it. So I just stayed in the service then, went to England in April of 44. I was there when the planes went over one morning about 2 o'clock on D-Day.
Did you know that that's what was happening at the
Oh,
time?
no. Not until you heard them go. And then in the evening, they'd come back. And it was a disheartening experience.
Yeah. Well, what did you do when you were serving?
Well, I was with an office, the Surgeon General's office, so we went around England looking for spots for military hospitals and setting them up. Then in September of 45, we crossed the channel and went I took our headquarters to Reims, France, going by automobile and trucks and stuff. We went through very devastated areas. We got to Paris after it had been liberated a few days and went on up to Epernay. through Epernay to Reims, France, where there were still snipers coming around at night. And bed check Charlie at 11 every night. He'd fly over. And there we again located sites for hospitals, got them set up, and then did evacuation work. The Battle of the Bulge. And then peace was signed, and we did a little bit of cleanup work. And then in October, left France through Lake Lucky Strike from near Le Havre. Landed at Boston. We were due to land at New York, but there was stevedore strike, so we landed at Fort Devens, took train down to Fort Dix, where I was discharged at 11 o'clock on the 11th of November of 45. I have my own Armistice Day.
I would think so.
And of course then the Army pays your way to where you were enlisted, so I got my way paid to Washington, and then had to pay my own way home to Marshall. But I was glad to get home.
Did you have a special welcome when you returned home? Did anybody do anything special at that time?
I don't recall. I don't recall at all.
Did they know you were coming then?
Only the family.
Mm-hmm.
And I was glad to get home.
Yeah.
But I had stopped at the office in the Pentagon. General Dissinger tells me, well, your desk is still here. We want you back. And I said, no, I've had it. I'm going home. Oh, you'll be back, he said. I knew I wouldn't. But after a couple months and no job in sight, I got a telegram from him, says, get back here on the 19th of January of 46. I went back and spent the rest of my 40 years there.
Oh, my goodness. So you were in Washington a long time.
Yes, I was. Met a lot of wonderful people. Some not quite so nice, but I forgot about them. And then I'm home here for a long time, and one evening I got a call from my niece crying, oh, I'm so glad you're home. I couldn't imagine what she meant. It was, the plane had flown into the Pentagon on the 9th the 11th of September.
Yes.
I was glad I wasn't home, too.
Yes. So how long before that had you come back to Marshall?
Well, that was in 2000. No. When was 9/11? When was it? 2000 what?
I'm not sure either.
I'm not, right now I can't remember. But anyway, I came back here in 82.
Okay,
So I'd been back here a while.
But that was your area of the Pentagon where you had worked that was hit?
It went in on the second floor, and one time my office was on the ground floor right under there.
Mm-hmm.
Had I been there, I might be a cinder now.
Yeah.
But it was a devastated place. I've been back to Washington since. I have not gone back to the Pentagon, nor did I go past it to see how it looked. Anyway,
Yeah.
I don't want to see that.
Yeah.
However, that part of the Pentagon has been rebuilt with limestone from Bloomington, Indiana, you know.
Oh, is that right?
That's what I hear.
Yeah. Well, that's kind of interesting.
It is
isn't
interesting.
Yeah, that's
yes,
great. Yeah. And I'm sure it, the looks would be fine now, but the memories would still be there.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
The Pentagon has changed a lot anyway since I've been there, I'm sure.
What kind of work did you do at the Pentagon?
Secretarial work.
Okay.
First I was in logistics. Then during the Vietnam War, our office was established to manage small arms equipment for Vietnam. Then when it was disbanded in 73, I had to be reassigned someplace, and in the civil service, you are assigned when there is a vacancy in the grade and area that you're qualified. So then I was assigned to military personnel management, which was an entirely different area than I had been used to. So It was wonderful. You met a lot of people. Of course, in the military, they change every 3 years, so you meet scads of new people. And two of the generals are still, I'm in touch with them frequently, and then one of the colonels that was, he and his wife are very kind to me, still call and find out how I'm doing when they hear something on, or see the weather reports or something. I have to call to find out how it's working in Illinois, which makes you feel real good.
When you were in the service, did you have contact then with any local people, or what kind of a connection did you have with the Marshall area?
Only one cousin, Jean Setzer, was around there someplace, but anyway, we got together once. And Jack Howell saw me in a formation going to the memorial service for President Roosevelt. He insists that he recognized me from taking pictures. He was taking pictures at the time. And he came to the headquarters, and I talked to him several times after that. But I still can't believe he recognized me through the camera lens.
Maybe he was looking for you specifically.
I don't think so.
No?
I don't think so. But it was interesting anyway.
And I suppose you carried on a correspondence with your family and heard about things that were going on here.
I still have the first V-mail that I got from my brother Ray shortly after I got to England. It was dated the 8th of April, 1944. And that email and V-mail and email get mixed up in my head today. It was a V-mail letter.
And what did that mean, V-mail?
It had been photographed, handwritten on a special piece of paper, and then they photograph it, and I don't know how we got, I suppose through the regular airmail got to England. I don't know. Never thought of that.
It's just a special way they had of sending
That's
mail
right.
to the troops.
But it is a piece of paper about 4 by 6, and of course it's kind of hard to read when it's
it was reduced in
reduced
size.
inside, you know. But it was Ray's handwriting, and I could recognize it.
I bet that made you feel very good.
It did.
Yeah.
My family were very good about writing, which made me feel. Of course, oftentimes when the family had get-togethers at home, Mother always had a piece of paper, and everybody had to write a few words to Mary. So I got to talk to all of them through mail that way. So
that's good. Was there any other kind of communication?
No.
Not telegraph or telephone or anything, just the mail service.
That's all we had.
And were you always able to receive mail wherever you were?
It wasn't always regular or very often, but yes, I had no complaints. I met a lot of wonderful people. And today there's only one person I'm still in touch with because we keep hearing that this one or that one has passed away. So this young man was a pianist, and he'd come to our day room and sit at the piano and play by the hour. And that was nice. And he now lives in Florida. And we're in touch at Christmas time and his birthday, and occasionally when there's a hurricane or something, I got to call and find out how it's going. But he's, I think he's 91 now, 92 or something.
Yeah. When you did return, you said you came back to Marshall first and then went back to Washington. Did you witness any displays of either pro or anti-war sentiment at that time?
No, of course. When I was first assigned in England, I was assigned to Inspector General's office. And that grouchy old man says, I didn't want a woman in my company, in my office. But since you're here, you're going to work. Well, I didn't like that kind of work when I saw what it was all about. And I told the WAC commander that if there was something else, I'd rather have something other than that. So she said, well, we'll try this from the Surgeon General's office. And I went there and was welcomed with open arms, which made me feel real good. So that's where I ended up.
That's great that you were doing something you enjoyed doing while you were there.
I enjoyed doing it, except I was sorry it had to be done. It wasn't something you look forward to every day, that's for sure, because, oh well.
It was hard.
Yes. I try not to remember or think too much about that part of it, because it sort of gets to you.
I think that's true of all veterans, and everyone can understand that. Some things just have to be kept private.
Yes,
when you returned, how had Marshall or Washington changed from when you went away? Was there a big change, or just
well,
pretty
in
much
that
the same?
short time when I came back from the service, it hadn't changed that much. However, when I came back after 40 years, everything has changed. Everything has built up so, expanded so, it's hard to believe. It's even around Marshall, which is a small town, and it's still a small town. But when I go back to Virginia, between Falls Church and Leesburg, which is 25 miles, when I first went there, it was a roller coaster, 2-lane highway. Now that's like 6 lanes, and there's a stoplight about every half mile. It's amazing. I can't believe it. When I go back to Virginia, I go to the Gannons, park my car, and they do the driving. Yet when I lived there, I wasn't afraid to drive any place. I often drove from Arlington, Virginia, where I lived, over to the Walter Reed Hospital, because so many of my acquaintances or co-workers were there as patients and the like. And now I wouldn't drive in that area for anything. But
You said that when you were young, you didn't come to Marshall very much. Is that right?
no, we did most of our shopping in Terre Haute because we had relatives over there, and when you went, you had to visit with them, you know. And Marshall was a foreign area. In fact, the southwest corner of Clark County is still a foreign language to me. Their names, when I worked with the Farm Bureau, I knew these names of these little places, but never had any reason to go visit them or see them or anything. So Clark County is not exactly real familiar territory to me. It's a foreign country, really. But I have friends now who live all over, so it's not frightening. I don't mind getting in the car and drive. I don't know where I'm going, and I don't know where I'll end up, but you can always come back home.
Do you have family that still lives in this area?
Oh, yes. My 2 brothers and sister, and all their families are here.
Would you like to name your brothers?
Well, Roy is my older brother. He lives about 5 miles north up in Edgar County. And then Una Boyer, my sister, lives near Zion. And Ray, my younger brother, lives about 2.5 miles from where I do. And we're in touch all the time. In fact, my older brother will be 90 years old on the 12th of August. We're having a big get-together for that.
Oh, that's great. That's great. What about your own community then, since you didn't have that much contact with Marshall? Has things changed out in your area from the time you left
Yes.
until the time you came back?
There aren't too many old family names still there. They're all new. In fact, the Minnicks are all gone, and many of the Clarks are gone. And of course, there's no Setzer living in the community anymore. No Stolding, and I'll take that back. Eugene Setzer's grandson, I think, lives on the home place. But they're all new people living, new houses. The old houses are all gone. It's different, that's for sure. But they're all very friendly and very nice. We don't visit like we used to, So you see them at church or at the grocery store or something like that. But everything has changed so.
What about the occupations of the people?
Well, they all work in different areas,
When you left, were there mainly farmers in that area?
Yes, all farmers. It was all farmers around now. And my brother and his son and grandson still are farming right there in our area. But many of the others work away. It's different. It's I guess the changes are great, but then to me, older, I just wish things had stayed the same. No, I don't mean that. All these new things are wonderful. But you have to learn a different language, a different way to do everything. And I feel I don't want to learn these new things. I'm not mechanically inclined, so these new technology things are beyond me. So if something around that requires somebody to do it, I just call Mike and Aaron and let them take care of it.
That sounds like a good plan. Now, did you say you worked when you came back to Marshall after your years in Washington, or
no? When I retired in '42, I retired. The only thing I do now is lunch buddy. It's the North School. I suppose I'll still be this year because I didn't say I didn't want to do it. Mm-hmm. But this is something they expect you to do, twice a month or so. But I enjoy going, and I go every week because I enjoy these children. And I meet a lot of new ones, and they are all so sweet. I just enjoy every Thursday when I go, that's for sure. Whether I'm doing any good or not, I don't know, but it does me good to be there.
Are you involved in any other community activities besides the Lunch Buddy and the main program?
Just the Legion, the VFW, and the 48, yes.
And you're a member of the Honor Guard, is that what it's called? Or
Funeral Detail.
Funeral Detail.
Funeral Detail, yes. No, the Honor Guard. We have a good color guard. They are asked to perform in other places other than just here, which is, I think, good. And I have attended military funerals, Terre Haute, and other places, and I must say, to me, ours are the best looking. Well, one thing, our area here, our men, we wear uniforms, and we all wear uniforms. In other places, they don't all have uniforms. Maybe they all wear a cap matching, but they don't all have complete uniforms. So, to me, our men are much sharper looking.
Now, these aren't their, excuse me.
Pardon?
I was going to say, these aren't their original Army uniforms you're referring to.
Few of us could wear those, and few of us have been able to keep them. Mother was storing mine, and the building it was stored in burned, so I don't have many of my mementos that I would like to have, but very few of us could wear the same uniform that we wore then.
So this is just something the Legion has adopted.
Yeah. They provide the jackets, and we provide our own shirts and trousers.
Mm-hmm. Are there any special events that stand out in your mind that you would like to talk about during the service or when you returned home? You mentioned D-Day, and you mentioned a couple of battles. Any happy memories? Because I don't want to put you on the spot.
Well, I got to travel that I would never have done had I not joined the service, that's for sure. I would probably never have got to England or France, either one. Because when I was in high school, I planned to be a school teacher. I wanted to teach English and home ec. when I graduated from grade school back in the old days, there were scholarships given to if you made a good grade, to those who would go to one of the state teachers' college. But I believe there was a requirement that you were required then to teach here in Illinois for a number of years in order to graduate, to get this scholarship. Well, I got one, but Mother didn't want me to go to Eastern Illinois. It was too far from home. To her, at that time, it was. She had never been any place anyway, just around here, and that was too far. But she would pay my way to business school, which I didn't know the front end of a typewriter or a shorthand book or anything. So I was quite upset. I made up my mind I'd go till I could qualify for a job, and I was leaving home. And I did.
So you ended up further away than you would have if you'd gone to Eastern or taught school, probably.
Well, and I was upset with Mother, of course, but after you think about it, Mary, not going to business or to teachers' college, I would have probably stayed right here and not had the advantages that I got by going away. And she was spending, she was with me about 3 months back in 1952. She stayed till she got a letter that Ray and Ellen were expecting their first baby, so she had to come home and supervise that. But anyway, while she was there, I was working rather long hours. It was during Korean War and all. I came home late one night, and she said, "Do you know why I didn't want you to be a school teacher?" Of course, I didn't know. Well, she thought it was too hard a work for too little pay. And after seeing the hours I was putting in, she changed her mind. I thought I was upset with Mother, and I probably was, but I tried not to let her know about it. But it was good to finally know that it wasn't the fact that Charleston was too far from Marshall. But my mother was wonderful.
That's great. That's great. Do you have anything else that you would like to add? Did you have anything that you plan to say or would like to say?
I think that covers it. Of course, I could go on and on about the people I've met and so.
Well, if there's any interesting ones, we'd love to hear about it.
No, I think not. I think I've done it all.
Okay. Well, we'll end there, and I thank you very much for coming in and doing this.
Well, thank you for asking me.
Okay.
It was an honor.